You want to talk about some strength at the top, the way Kentucky's playing now. I could probably make a case for the SEC as the best conference in the country.
RC, what do you think?
That will be close. I mean, Kentucky's playing a little better than we thought. Auburn is, I think, by far is the best team in the league, and Kentucky is right there. Alabama's kind of in the middle. They've fallen off a little bit, but they played a stretch where they went on the road and showed what their ceiling is. I just think a big with size, like a Jabari Smith type of guy, I don't think they have a matchup for. But that guy, I don't think anyone has a matchup for. So who they play would matter. You know what I mean? But the rest of the teams, we know Tennessee can't score. I mean, we'll get into that, but
we can do that now. We can do that now within LSU.
Yeah, so, I think that's the best team.
Your SEC power rankings, Randolph, 1 to 5.
1 to 5.
How do you go?
I'm gonna go Auburn 1. I think they're clear cut number 1. I don't think how we can refute that at all. I mean, I think that's pretty consistent. A big win against Alabama the other night. I'm going to go with LSU, and early on we questioned because it seemed like they had the cupcake schedule. They didn't play anybody. But one thing we do know is and you talked about Coach Wade. I mean, Will Wade, they were an offensive team that just had no interest in defending anybody last year, which was against them, but they won, right? They just outscored you. They had that three-headed monster and just kind of rolled the ball out there and we're like, we're going to outscore you. This year they brought in tougher kids and they have an identity, and man, they're sticking to it. You got to give them credit. They've just switched from one year to the next, a completely different philosophy. But I think you're going to have to do that now with the portal. You're going to have to adapt to whatever analytics you use to get players. You still don't know what you're getting until you get them into your system, and you kind of flipping a coin there. So, talking to Kevin Nickenborough and their staff, they were really impressed with the toughness of their guys, and that was something that they looked to sought after last year's team. And they're 2, and I think I'm going to go with Kentucky probably at 3. I'd go Alabama 4. I still believe that they're what they are. They're not as good as they were a year ago, and that's fine. They were as good as any team in college basketball a year ago, but I still like them. In Tennessee as my 5th spot, I just don't trust them offensively of scoring consistently, but we know they're tough. We know they're going to defend, and if they get any perimeter shooting, then they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you. You got to go Auburn 1 today. And Wendell Green has been the difference maker for me. I mean, that kid's swagger is insane. He comes from Eastern Kentucky, and the dude, I think he honestly thinks he's like –
he believes he's the best player on the floor.
Yes, he believes he's the best player.
He may not – we know he's not, but he believes he's the best player on the floor.
Yeah, which can be dangerous at times. And I remember talking to Bruce Pearl before the season, and he even said to me, he's like, I go, what's your point guard situation like? I know you get Jabari. I know you got some other really good players there. Walker Kessler coming in. And he's like, well, I don't really know yet. I don't really know how good he is. Well, he's been way better than Bruce thought he'd be. But I'll go Auburn 1. I still think, and maybe it's just because when I went there in the preseason, I fell in love with this Kentucky team. I fell in love with Oscar. I fell in love with Ty. And Ty finally, with Severe Wheeler out, and I hope Severe's better. I love Severe as a kid, and I hope his post-concussion, whatever he's gone through right now, he'll get back out in the court soon. But I honestly think this might have been the best thing for Ty Washington, because now he's got the ball in his hands, and we're seeing what he can do in terms of making people better, and not just putting in Severe's hands when he comes back and saying, Ty, you're a straight 2. Let them play together and try to feed off one another, because Ty to me is the X factor. He's the key to Kentucky getting to deep in the NCAA tournament.
I would actually bring Severe from the bench if you could. I don't know if they would. I don't know how much you can play them together, because you're not going to guard Severe without the ball in his hand. Right? You're just not going to guard him. If he's going to play off the ball.
But you're right.
No,
you're right. He's a non-shooter.
He's just a non-shooter. As good as he is, that's not a strength. And if he would buy into that role, it may be best for them, and because Ty's ceiling is so much higher. But I just don't know if they're going to do it. I'm sorry, Seth. You go ahead.
No, that's a great. I'm actually, what's coming to mind is this the backcourt version of Zach Edey and Trevion Williams. I think you have more flexibility with the guards, but Randolph hit it right on the head. I mean, Severe Wheeler cannot shoot a 3-pointer. I mean, he literally can't. And when they had their big win over North Carolina, it was because he finally decided, I can't shoot threes, so I'm going to shoot twos. And all this analytics BS is like, I don't get it. Oh, you got to have threes or at the rim. Well, I think a made two is better than a missed three.
7 from 3.
Maybe I'm just simple-minded. But I think particularly at the college level, people can get a little bit trapped into that. Is anybody, well, let me say one thing about Auburn, because what I'm really growing to appreciate about Auburn is you talk about Jabari Smith, Jalen Williams, and Walker Kessler, maybe a little bit of a lesser extent, but those 3 guys can all switch out on ball screens. You can switch with those guys and they can hedge on guys. The first 2, Kessler's a little bit iffy, but he's also 7'1". So he's incredible at the rim, right? So he's got a little bit more, but Williams is phenomenal at that.
Yep.
And with everybody trying to go small and playing ball screens and trying for that exact reason of getting bigs in a vulnerable situation. And then you like the fact that Jabari Smith is good at that, it should be against the rules for him to be that good at switching out on small because of everything else that he does. And whatever Wendell Green is drinking, Jabari could have a little bit of that because his numbers could be even bigger. I know physically he's not quite there. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting now. I mean, we all do top 25s. Mine is obviously a lot better than Jeff's, but you have to consider Auburn. Is Auburn number 1, Jeff? I don't even know who you had. Who'd you have number 2 last week? You have Duke? No, not Duke, because Duke lost. So I think I had Gonzaga. I don't even know, to be honest. I think I had Gonzaga.
I think I have Auburn 3. I'll come out with one tomorrow, an updated one.
I can't wait.